Hi everyone, I'm Alex Verheeren, and I thought I'd give you a quick overview of network monitoring using a tool called Fing. And so there are various reasons why we want our network connection to be great, and there are various tools out there that you can use to help you go through a checklist. So especially before you start doing a demo, something like that, you want to make sure that everything is in good shape. And that's where I'm starting on my screen here. I've got an application open. It's called Fing. You can download it from fing.com. And I have a premium version installed. It gives me a couple of unlimited checks that I can do, things like that. It's only about $6 or $7 a month. And I think it's worthwhile if you want to do this a lot. And yeah, my home screen here, you can see that all is good in my network. 32 checks are complete. I can also get a report. It kind of gives me some information about my laptop that I'm using. This is my work machine, and I'm using my home network, and I'm on Spectrum. And I can do various tests. It tells me my Wi-Fi signal is at 71%, so it's a couple of rooms over. And with 5G, it gives you the best performance, but also range can be an issue. So, but at least it tells me, it makes it right. I don't have to go look for what Wi-Fi am I connected to. You know, is it the 5G, the 2G? You may have more than one. And it also gives you a couple of most used tools as well. So a really rich set of tools. What I'll do is I'll quickly walk through all the major screens in here, because I really like the idea that it gives me tools, situational awareness, other information that might be relevant to me having a good experience. So the home screen gives you kind of high-level view of everything that's going on, easy access to some of the tools. When you go to tools, you can actually do a lot more. You can look at everything that's on your network. You can do like a Wi-Fi scan, find any devices that are currently on your network. You can do a DNS lookup, just to make sure, am I going to be able to reach a particular server, etc. Trace routes don't always work very well, depending on what network you're on. Ping, probably one of the most used tools, but you'll see that in the home page as well. It also has got some other tools like find open ports and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to go over that. We're kind of going to focus on the health of my network and whether I'm ready to do a demo. Notifications. You can see that earlier I had some issue. Custom targets are not reachable, and this is a really good tool. It's kind of like one of my I set up some custom targets like my demo environment. I want to make sure that they're always reachable. If they're not, I want to get an alert, and it does a good job of that. And so I fixed the problem. This was somebody else's environment, and it wasn't up and running, so I just started it for them so I could monitor it. Outages. This gives you a good idea of what's going on in the world with outages. So if you happen to be in an area where there's a lot going on, you might experience some internet slowness, and that can be a problem. This view is maybe not as helpful, but it sort of shows you what the hell is going on in the world. But if you look at the live view, you can see that there's 12 outages in 3 countries. And it looks like on the East Coast there's something going on. Let's have a look and see if this could all be relevant to what we're looking at. And it's a couple of companies, and Spectrum's got some issues in Roswell, Atlanta, on the East Coast. Comcast Business has a few issues. AT&T's got a few issues in Georgia, and a couple of places like that. So these are all ongoing. Cox has got some issues. So could this affect me? Well, yeah. If I was on the, if you're looking at the live map, and you're on the East Coast of the United States right now, you may have some issues. It may not be the best time to start a stream right now or start a demo right now. But the proof is always in the pudding, which is just you may have to just try something, and always be aware of best practices. We'll get to that more about that later. Of course, community people will have some discussions. So if you have questions about how to use Fing, you can do that here. So let's go back to the home page and say, hey, how am I doing? So I'm getting ready for my whatever presentation, stream, demo, whatever it might be. So I want to know that everything is good in my network. 32 checks were completed. And if I go through this list, it looks at a lot of things, that you might have trouble all making sure that they're okay. So it says Wi-Fi strength is good or acceptable. So it's not strong, it says. It's at 60%. So maybe I want to move a little closer to my Wi-Fi signal, or maybe that's something I want to do something about. But it still passed the test. So if it was any lower than that, I'd probably do something about it. Your network adapter, you are indeed, connected. Your DNS, you got some information here to look at. What type of router do you have, etc., etc. All this is good stuff, and tells you where you are located in the world, and what your ISP is, whether you have network connection, whether Google, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, WhatsApp, a bunch of things were there. Also, has your provider been stable over the past 7 days? Usually, they say past performance is not a guarantee for the future, but if a provider was having serious issues in the past few days, there could be some risk. And then the very last item is custom targets, and you can edit those. And I basically put a couple of systems in here that I rely on regularly. My personal demo environment, which I can only get to if I'm on my VPN. But also a couple of SaaS applications, etc. So I save those, and as soon as I do that, it will probably kick off another test to make sure that we're doing all right. So with that, hey, I've got my the demo application that I'm going to be connecting to. I've got my usual SaaS providers. I've got, everything looks good. 32 checks are completed. I showed you the full report. I'm in good shape to go. Wi-Fi signal at 71%. That's pretty good. And the other thing I might want to look at is, my little demo application. What kind of latency am I getting? Now, I'm in the United States, and I'm going to be doing some latency testing to a machine that happens to be in Ireland. And you can see that, latency is sort of somewhere between 70 and 180 milliseconds, kind of over there. On average, 163 milliseconds. That's good. It's not great. I'm hoping that the guy who's actually going to use this environment, that he's a little closer, that he gets something under 100. And certainly, if you're not able to get under 300, you'll have some issues with your demo environments. So a nice little tool to help you see what's going on, and how much how much deviation you have. And again, you want this number to be as stable as possible. You don't want it to be, we can do a slightly longer test. I think something like 100 pings. And, you don't want it, you want it to be fairly constant. And it shouldn't be spiking to, 1,000 milliseconds and things like that. It should basically remain below the 200 milliseconds. And as you can see, we're doing pretty good with that, and it's building up the graph as we go. So we made a couple of tests to our environment, and this line looks pretty stable. So this looks good. I'll go back to the home page. So we've used we've used the checklist capability with in total 32 checks. We've got a nice report. We've got yeah, we can also do a speed test. You know, the speed test that you do with your local provider, it's great, but you know, you're always, you know, I'm in Los Angeles, so shit, you know, I'm always going to get good connectivity here. But if I'm really relying on resources that are elsewhere in the world, you know, this is not going to be that meaningful. But if you're paying for 450 megabits per second or 500 megabits per second and 20 up or 100 up or whatever, you should be able to get that. When you do your speed test, though, it does show you, hey, how well should your tools perform, and things like video and photo streaming, that should all work nicely. You're only getting 4 stars on large file transfers, and that's partially because you only have 23 megabits per second upload. So if you're moving files into a network, for instance, it's going to take a little bit longer. But we're game on. You know, these are all, you know, this is probably exactly what I would like to see if I was going to get ready for a demo. Well, that's it for this particular tool. In the future, I'm planning to do a little special on doing the actual demos, and you know, how to maybe you know, some best practices on how you're moving around on your screen and things like that. Stay tuned for more. I hope this was useful. Thank you.